Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. We have a lot to talk about this evening, and I have just a fantastic. I actually bought 3 copies. One is above my head, and it's 3 copies of Newsweek. And when people say, "Oh, well, how could Bernie voters vote for Trump?" and they don't understand, like, if you don't understand why a Bernie Sanders supporter would eventually vote for Trump, then foreign policy is not what you're focusing on. Foreign policy is a lot more important than any other topic, in my view. People say, "Oh, no, climate change, climate change. Oh my God." Well, yeah, okay. If the world's going to end in 12 years, why don't Democrats have an actual some legislation that they're going to vote on? I mean, the world's going to end in 12 years. So where's the legislation? Oh, it's AOC's only been there for 3 weeks. So which one is it? Is the world going to end? Or she has, all the time in the world? Which one is it? So there's a lot of duplicity regarding that. But I'll get to Newsweek. I want you to come home is what it says. Let's see if you can see. Hopefully you can see it. I don't know if the if you can see it. I want you to come home. Yeah. Let's see. Let's move that up. So that is the latest Newsweek cover. I want you to come home. And it's all about President Trump bringing home Americans from never-ending quagmires. That is exactly the main reason I'm supporting Trump. The main reason I'm supporting President Trump, in addition to a great economy, peace between North and South Korea, 400,000 manufacturing jobs. How are these things bad? They're not. They're awesome. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you. G-Man, thank you for always watching. We have a president who's doing a very good job. And all people can focus on is gossip and hearsay and a bunch of nonsense. But I will get to the I bought three copies of Newsweek just because I want to keep this. I just want to keep these copies, and obviously I'll read from them later on. But it's exactly, I mean, so many things are vindicating my voice every single day. Something happens. But the fact that President Trump is presiding over so many great things in terms of foreign policy, it's basically the antithesis of Hillary Clinton's foreign policy. But let's read this. Andrew McCarthy, Stone indictment makes clear there was no Trump Russia. So this is a great, Andrew McCarthy is awesome. He's a former federal prosecutor, senior fellow at the National Review Institute, a contributing editor to National Review, and a Fox News contributor. I'm going to read this to you. This is Andrew McCarthy in The Hill. I used to be a contributor to The Hill. Special Counsel Robert Mueller's indictment of Roger Stone elucidates what has been apparent to the public for a year and therefore must have been known to prosecutors in the FBI for much longer. There was no criminal conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russian government. That is, the Kremlin's cyber espionage efforts to undermine the 2016 election by hacking the Democratic email accounts were not coordinated with the Trump campaign. I love Andrew McCarthy, but he makes the assumption that it happened. We have no clue. We have zero clue that Russia hacked the DNC, and the only evidence we have is CrowdStrike. The United States government never looked at DNC servers, so we have no clue. And by the way, if you're on social media, if you want to share this segment, that would be fantastic. To my super chat, thank you so very much. You give me every incentive to rock these live streams. But in the Stone indictment, Mueller offers up 20 pages of heavy-breathing narrative about the Russian theft of tens of thousands of emails. By the way, we've focused as a nation 2 years on WikiLeaks DNC and Podesta emails that showed corruption at the highest levels of the Democratic Party. And instead, and the weight of that corruption is still going to take everything down. They think that just because you've convinced people who didn't vote for Trump to begin with doesn't mean you're out in the clear. There's a new email investigation in the Senate. There's a new Senate email investigation. There are going to be new investigations once William Barr is confirmed next week. There are going to be DOJ and Senate investigations that will far surpass anything Democrats try in the House. And they got elected to enact and to vote on and to pass Medicare for All legislation. If by 2020, the election, all 320 plus million Americans are not covered in terms of health care, or at least let's put it this way. If they don't pass Medicare for All legislation and it doesn't get either vetoed by the president or let's say it doesn't get struck down in the Senate, they will have nothing to stand on. Nothing. Absolutely nothing to stand on. So Robert Mueller doesn't have anything else. Really, I mean, he's going after YouTubers. So Corsi and that's why the Q people are so quiet now. Like if you look at all like the Q sites, like some of them, they post like once a week, twice a week. There's really nothing because the people behind it were like, you know what? We're not gonna. Could you imagine? They're like, oh, the show is over because some of what took place with Stone was self-induced. Now, Roger Stone, I believe, is acting in a very heroic manner. He is actually helping debunk this myth. But let's continue. In the Stone indictment, Mueller offers up 20 pages of heavy-breathing narrative about the Russian theft of tens of thousands of emails from Democratic National Committee and Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. The transmission of the purloined materials to WikiLeaks portrayed as a witting arm of the Putin regime, which it's not. Why would WikiLeaks be an arm of the Putin regime simply because it exposed the Democratic Party? Does that make any sense at all? Why would Putin care about the Democrats if he actually met with Bill Clinton at his home? If he got 20% of U.S. uranium capacity while there was an ongoing bribery and racketeering scandal on U.S. soil that Mueller apparently didn't tell the Committee on Foreign Investment about? And their subsequent media publication in the final weeks of the campaign. But the big win produces no rain. At the end, we get a couple of pages of process crimes. Stone is charged with such comparative trifles as concealing from Congress that his communication with an associate were in writing. Are you kidding me? The 7 counts are offenses generated not by espionage conspiracy, but by the investigation of an espionage conspiracy that did not exist. The investigation of criminal activity that did not exist. Oh, I gotta put this. Be good if I plug the laptop in. So he's charged with like nothing. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton actually transferred top secret intelligence outside of the United States government onto a servant. This is public record knowledge. This is public record knowledge. Although, and then just going back to what James Comey said, although there is evidence Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, that's it. And then he goes, our judgment is no reasonable. Well, who cares what Comey's judgment of a reasonable prosecutor is? Although there is evidence of potential violations, yeah, there's evidence of potential violations. Not only potential, there's massive evidence. Even James Comey himself, the ringleader, the guy who presided over the entire cover-up, had to admit there's evidence of violations. Although there is evidence of potential violations, that's it. I mean, I was exonerated on July 5th or July 6th, 2016. I remember that day. And it didn't even hurt. It didn't even I wasn't even embarrassed in the least. People were like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, those were the days I could get like 100,000, 200,000 views. Well, for my WikiLeaks segments, but also for Clinton email, like 100,000. Everyone on the planet knew she was guilty. And that, I think that day I basically said, yeah, it exonerated everything I said, which it did. His statement, although there is evidence of potential violations, and he goes on to talk about all the things, all the crimes she committed. I mean, it's like any other person. But in the Stone indictment, any other person would have been indicted. But in the Stone indictment, Mueller offers up 20. Okay, so Stone is charged with comparative trifles. Okay, and not one that, quote, may have existed. The Trump-Russia conspiracy did not exist. There you go. This should not be controversial. It should not matter whether you like Donald Trump. It should not matter whether you believe, as I do, that Trump's, ingratiating campaign. Here we go. Ingratiating campaign posture towards Vladimir Putin's murderous anti-American regime. Well, we sold him 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. Was detestable. Are you kidding? Anti-American, murderous. He was murderous and anti-American while Obama was in office too. And that the Trump's orbits cajoling of WikiLeaks, a cat's paw of the GRU. How is it a cat's paw of the GRU? I love Andrew McCarthy, but how? Where's the evidence? There's like zero evidence that any Russian intelligence officer worked with WikiLeaks. None. They only get this through CrowdStrike. That's it. They have zero. Even there's a whole compilation of everybody from Comey to Clapper to Obama saying, well, we don't know how Russia, how WikiLeaks, got the emails. Nobody knows how they got the emails. Okay. Nobody knows nobody knows with certainty, I should say. Russia's largest foreign intelligence agency that has done immense damage to U.S. intelligence and national security. What? Immense damage? Our own national security apparatus did immense damage to ourselves. To focus so much time and effort and resources on this nonsense when Americans are still at risk. That's the issue. God forbid. Well, I don't even want to say. I hope we don't look back at this time period and say we were duped by Democrats who took our eyes off the wheel, who put us asleep yet again. It is simply a matter of reading the special counsel's indictments, of seeing through their ambitious storytelling and grappling with what they actually charge. It is very simple. If the Trump campaign had been in an espionage conspiracy with Russia to hack Democratic emails, why would the campaign have needed Stone to try to figure out what stolen information WikiLeaks had and when it would have released the information? It's hilarious. First of all, Roger Stone never had, even though he stated he did. Yes, he did. He made it seem that he was a friend or he knew WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks had to numerous times say, we never had anything to do with Stone. He never contacted Julian Assange. It never happened. WikiLeaks had to actually tweet that out. So let's look at. So, okay, hold on. WikiLeaks, Twitter. Roger Stone. Okay. WikiLeaks on Roger Stone. WikiLeaks has never communicated with Roger Stone, as we have previously repeatedly stated. Wall Street Journal is being duplicitous. This is WikiLeaks to Wall Street Journal. The indictment doesn't have any reference to Stone talking to Assange or Assange talking to Stone or anyone at WikiLeaks telling him anything whatsoever. It's literally old men reading the news and wishing for things, which is true. This is WikiLeaks. The charges against Mr. Stone do not allege that Mr. Stone lied about his lack of contacts with Julian Assange, but rather about his contacts with others and about documents reflecting those communications. You ever wonder also, like, I wrote an article just recently. I wrote numerous Daily Caller articles to free Julian Assange and articles in the Huffington Post. And I wrote an article, a post in the Times of Israel, and I stated correctly that Julian Assange is a tzaddik, which is a Hebrew word for like a holy person, somebody who does a lot of good deeds and helps the world. Ever wonder why people who want Medicare for all, by and large, don't really defend WikiLeaks? Ever wonder why that is? Maybe because the Democratic Party utilizes certain people to keep the left in line. Maybe because certain people, whether wittingly or unwittingly, just to use a ridiculous phrase from the Mueller probe, essentially work for the Democratic Party just simply to funnel votes back into the establishment. There's zero anti-establishment. There's the facade. There's the illusion of an anti-establishment presence. Horseshoe Lake Golf Course. Why won't they invite you on Fox? You have it down. Thank you. Soon, hopefully. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. Thank you, Horseshoe Lake Golf Course. Thank you so very much. The interesting thing is that I was on the left for so long, so I've just somewhat for the past 8-9 months been officially a Trump supporter. So, but thank you, Horseshoe Lake Golf Course. Thank you. It sounds like a great golf course. Awesome, Horseshoe Lake Golf Course. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. So, full doc, Roger Stone indictment. The document reflects existing reporting on Stone. Attempts at braggadocio in response to WikiLeaks announcements. New evidence of no back channel. See, this is the hilarious thing about the word back channel. It was actually the Clintons who needed a back channel to the FBI through Bruce Orr, utilizing Glenn Simpson of Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele. Those were the back channels to the FBI to fabricate everything. Eric H526, thank you so very much. President Trump should pardon Julian Assange, right? And Julian Assange, his mom, Mrs. Christine Assange, a beautiful woman, a courageous, beautiful woman, remarkable human being, both Mrs. Christine Assange and Julian Assange. But I'm going back to my point like a minute ago. Ever wonder why the left doesn't? Because it's not sanctioned by the Democratic Party. That's why. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? How on earth are you going to fight the oligarchy, man, and not represent for Julian Assange? Now, there are certain people who do, and the people who do get the biggest heat from the left. But the majority of anti-establishment pundits don't. Or I should say anti-left-wing establishments don't. Ladies and gentlemen, which gets me to this. Let's switch courses. Well, let's continue, and then I'll get to the Newsweek article I'm very proud of. It exonerates everything. So people are like, how could H.A. Goodman go from Bernie to Trump? Well, the main reason I wrote 100 articles in the Hill, the Huffington Post, and Salon, they all went viral, most of them, is because Bernie, well, even though like a lot of the policy ideas I believed were possible, after further investigation were not possible. So I was in that like kind of, I had to be morally superior mentality. I had to, so that the left is like this complete cult. So I was a part of that. But in terms of, what could be more progressive or left wing or left leaning than wanting to bring Americans home from war and quagmires and conflicts and devastation? What could be, if you grew up in the 80s, the 60s, were like, the anti-war, all the anti-war hippies and who then, bought BMWs or Volvos or whatever. The popular culture was, oh yeah, it's anti-war. Okay. Well, then what happened to these people? They're all neocons now. The same people who condemned Vietnam are the same people who now support all our interventions everywhere. And no, what's happening in a Latin American country is not what took place in a North African country during Clinton and Obama's tenure. Night and day. That was already a failed state prior to everything going on there right now. Libya was not. But mind you, it appears, this is Andrew McCarthy, mind you, it appears that Stone did not know either. The indictment suggests he was expecting a Lollapalooza of a Clinton Foundation expose that never materialized. Mueller does not make the claim suggested widely in the media that Stone had foreknowledge that Podesta emails would be disclosed. And to repeat, Stone is not charged with being in a conspiracy with WikiLeaks. There you go. There you go. As Election Day approached, then the Trump campaign did not know what Russia had hacked. Well, first of all, they didn't hack anything. There's no evidence of that. So there's no evidence of that. So it knew WikiLeaks might have emails that were somehow related to Ms. Clinton. I explain very clearly. Thank you, Pete Mitchell. Thank you. Borracho wins. Wasn't Christopher Steele MI6? Yes, he was a former MI6 agent. Borracho wins. Thank you. Horseshoe Lake Golf Course. Thank you. Borracho wins. Thank you. Yes, he was a former MI6 agent who worked at the Russia desk at MI6. Ooh, wow. And he pretty much made up everything. Everything is just this made-up source. Russian intelligence officer. You know how I know it's made up? Because all the Russian intelligence and all the Russian contacts, the things that are claimed are ridiculous. Oh, Michael Cohen went to and met with, Carter Page and Manafort with this grand plot to work with the Russian intelligence. None of it is true. When people say, well, some of it's true, none of it is true. They make specific claims. They don't just say, oh, yeah, clues. No, they say they met with people. That didn't happen. None of it happened. It knew WikiLeaks might have emails or somehow related to Mrs. Clinton because Julian Assange had said so quite publicly in June. So did Kim.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Kim.com already told Emily Chang of Bloomberg. Here, the article. This is Bloomberg.com. Kim.com. Julian Assange will be Hillary Clinton's worst nightmare in 2016. The Mega Upload founder who faces charges for... Okay, so the Kim.com. Julian Assange will be Hillary Clinton's nightmare in 2016. This is a 2015 article. A 2015 article. How in 2015? How is that possible? How is it possible in 2015 to accurately state? This is from Ali Elkin, May 14th, 2015. How can you accurately state in 2015 that Julian Assange will be Clinton's worst nightmare? So which one is it? Russia hacked the DNC or Kim.com knew about WikiLeaks DNC and Podesta emails in 2015. Which one is it? Obviously, it's the latter. Obviously. But don't tell the imbeciles who are making a great deal of money from this and justifying their billions and billions in budget money while we descend into yet another cold war. We've already descended into another Cold War because poor Hillary Clinton lost. Then you have to deal with the people that friends of mine who are like completely, like just completely enamored with the New York Times. Jesus Garcia, I've been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show a number of times. I actually hosted the Jesse Lee Peterson show for a moment, for one day, one morning. It was great. It was great. Thank you, Jesus Garcia. Thank you. So anyway, it's like, what does WikiLeaks have to do? Like, what does Assange have to do? Like, what does he have to do? Like, all of this has been debunked. Meanwhile, cash flow to the Clinton Foundation, and then they sold 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. How was it a good thing for the country? How was it a good thing? I can't even find just basic. There's no basic reporting aside from one great article on it in the New York Times, and that article states that whatchamacallit, that what do you say? That article states that yellow cake uranium was shipped out of the country. So it's unbelievable. It's just really, really unbelievable. It's like 2 years. The whole nation has to suffer because Clinton lost. I'm telling you, I have the pulse of what's going on. It's not sustainable. It was not sustainable in 2015. I said she was unelectable. It was not sustainable. It was not sustainable then. It's not sustainable now because Trump is grabbing power. It's not just Trump. There are people within the DOJ and the FBI and the NSA that they can't stand Clinton. Those people will eventually gain power. Whether it's going to be a week after Barr is the new DOJ or a month, there are going to be new investigations. Lindsey Graham's going to start a new email probe. I mean, it's going to be on, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be on. Thank you, Eric H526. Thank you. And it's like Roger Stone is saying, nah, I'm going to fight it. And that's the thing. Like, if you had, well, Manafort, that was the ostrich feather thing. So, that was the ostrich feather thing. Don't buy. And here's the thing also. Do you know how Aldrich Ames was caught? The CIA spy who gave all the information to Russia. You know how he was caught? I'll tell you how he was caught. He was caught because he was spending all this money. He bought nice cars and he bought nice clothing, and everyone's like, oh, well, that's the guy. They didn't know at the CIA who, they didn't think it was Aldrich, it would be Aldrich Ames because he had a lot of friends and everything. But then they're like, okay, that's him. That's the spy. That's the spy. And all these people have, like, they're married or have girlfriends, or they want to impress like their girlfriend, or they want to buy, they have money issues or whatever. They feel they're underappreciated, so they turn on the agencies they work for. But don't ever, like, if you're Manafort, don't ever be gaudy. That's a problem. He did have nice suits though, but I mean, you can buy a nice suit for, it's like you don't need to spend look, you spend maximum $5,000, maximum. I'm talking about like you don't even need to like for a tailored suit, you could get a tailored suit for $500 to $1,000 and it'll look amazing. It'll look amazing. You don't need to go crazy. You don't $20,000 for a jacket. I mean, look, that's true. Armani suits, but Armani, I don't think you would get that tailored, like an actual tailored suit. Maybe you would. I don't know. Eric H526, awesome. I don't know. I mean, the tailors in LA, that's the price. I mean, wouldn't be maybe 2,000. I don't know. I don't have a tailored suit, but one day it would be nice to get one. Ladies and gentlemen, so I want to show everyone this amazing. This is the latest version of Newsweek. Okay? This is the latest version of Newsweek. And it is all about I want you to come home. Can Trump end America's endless wars and bring back the troops? That is exactly this more than anything else. Well, I mean, this in addition to a lot of things exonerates me. Not that I needed to be exonerated, but I guess vindicates me. Not that I needed to be vindicated, but bolsters exactly why I officially started voting for Trump. Began pulling for Trump officially. Trump wants to end America's endless wars. Members of the military don't disagree. They just want to find the best way to withdraw. Fine. The best way means for them never. Whenever that's why Bernie Sanders is like completely like gone for me. Heaven forbid. Like he even criticized Trump at, withdrawing soldiers. And that's the whole reason I loved Bernie. That's one of the biggest reasons I love Bernie. I wrote about Rand Paul. I wrote about when I thought Elizabeth Warren had certain principles. Anybody but Clinton. And Bernie Sanders was not only that, he was just a whole lot of things. Breaking up too big to fail banks, by the way, is a very important, like Trump should actually engage in that. That's very important because you don't want, if there is contagion, that economic flu or contagion, just, it would plunge the entire planet into yet another recession and you'd have to pump even more money into banks. So that was another reason I loved Bernie. In addition to Medicare for all was like just one of the reasons. I didn't even really care about the cost of it because I was on the left and nobody cares about the cost of it. In fact, if you bring it up, you're a big problem. Then once I left the cult, I was like, wait a second. And then the Marqueta study said double to triple. Oh, but it's a right-wing study. Oh, okay. But all the left-wing studies regarding Trump, economic reasons weren't why Trump won. It was racism. Really? What study was that? Was that from the National Review or funded by the Koch brothers also? No. Okay. It was a left-wing study. Okay, good. So don't bring it up. But President Donald Trump wants to bring Americans home again. That's it. That's all you. That's the first. That's the first sentence. That's all you have to read. That's it. That's it. That's it. This, and you see above my noggin, I think Trump is going to win in 2020. Jesus, I think Trump is going to win in 2020. This is exactly why I think Trump is going to be one of the great presidents of all time. Because when he's doing something the left should do. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. He will. He will. Be here, everyone. Jesus, be here on in November of 2020. It's going to be a fun 2 years, by the way. So basically, oh, and then he goes on to, Andrew McCarthy goes on, Democrats speculate that Putin wanted Trump to win. Most of us on the other side counter that he wanted to sow discord. Putin has nothing to do with anything. It was the Democrats who were so mortified that they lost that they had to fabricate the impression that Putin wanted to sow discord. Believe me, the biggest discord, the most dysfunctional political party created all the chaos. Democrats, they cheated Bernie Sanders. Hello, nobody talks about it. I'm telling you, I'm the one MFer who will never, ever forget Bernie was cheated. Ever. Even Bernie forgot. Even Bernie forgot. He's like, it's not a problem. In fact, I blame myself. I blame my audacity in thinking that I had the chutzpah to go up against such a qualified, wonderful human being like Hillary Rodham Clinton. And by the way, my new name is Rico Bernardito Suave. If it worked for Dronco Beto, it'll work for me. Ladies and gentlemen. See here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are going to, I believe we're going to end this. And definitely. Lupe Stella, hello. Lupe Stella, hello. Thank you, Jeffrey Grimm. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe right now. This channel is growing. And it's growing, and there's something that's going on. And my channel is like a barometer of this. There's something brewing. There's something going on. And it's just, there's something going on. William Barr, I remember when I was in college and USC played Arizona, and I went to USC, and we were, really good. And Arizona at that time was not good at all. And it was like there was a poster in Arizona. It was the Arizona Wildcats, like a poster on their campus that said, that rumbling sound you hear is USC, the Trojans. And it's like that rumbling sound that you hear is William Barr. There's something going on, and even the Democrats know. And there's really nothing they can do about it. There's really nothing they can do nothing they can do about it. Lindsey Graham's going to start a new email probe. William Barr is going to start a whole bunch of probes. And there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very, very much. Hit subscribe right now. If you can do me a big favor, tell your friends about this channel. And thank you, everyone. God bless. To my super chat, thank you. I'll see you very soon.